A Beast's Perspective. Written and read by Castiel left his mark on me. Summary. Dean has told Benny a lot of things. The two had come to be close. They didn't lie to each other. Well, except for once. Author's note. I'm going to be reading this in a Louisiana accent because this is from Benny's perspective. So it might be pretty bad, and it might be a little excruciating to listen to. So if you don't want to tolerate it, just go ahead and read the fic and imagine it on your own. And if you do tolerate it, then I hope you survive. I knew what he was before I ever got near him. I was drawn towards him like every other seething beast that drug its belly along the rocks of that place. But like them, I didn't know why we were being pulled along every which way. We didn't know until we got close. Well, they didn't know. He was obvious to me once he popped into my sights. I thought I'd be able to smell him, like I was able to up top. All that lively blood thrumming through his veins, just calling my name. That's the funny thing about being down there, though. All my animal senses just seemed to slip away, like a ship in the water. Nah, I couldn't smell him. Even when I saw his form and that weird glow he was casting, and heard that dull hum that seemed to rumble deep inside his belly, I still wasn't sure what he was, just that he didn't belong down there. Then he turned, or he was turned by that scaly thing he was fighting, and that's when I saw what he truly was. Only one creature in all of creation can hold that kind of hope in its eyes, that kind of hunger for something that's for all the mind's wanderings impossible. That boy over there, beaten and bloody like the butcher's meat, oh, that boy was human. I knew about the rumors of the portal, or passageway, or whatever the beasts were calling it, between killing each other. Long before that moment I knew. I never believed it, nor would it matter if I did. Not until little Dean busted into our playground, throwing punches, acting like he could hold his own against us all. Oh, well, I must admit, now that it's all said and done with, the boy probably could manage. It was good he had me, though. I kept him hanging on. Yeah, right. Oh, if the boys up top saw me growing soft on a human. Well, they'd stick my head right back on just to lop it off again. Honestly, I wouldn't blame 'em. I hardly can believe it myself. But Dean wasn't no regular human. That boy was a beast all his own, of his own making. No one turned him, or maybe too many people did. It don't matter. He was something unique. When I first saw those hope-filled eyes, I knew he was just a ticket. I had only known in that moment he would become so much more than a means to my end. After I saved his hide a time or two more, he started to trust me. I reluctantly started to trust him as well. There were plenty of times he could have had my head. The boy kept his word, though. He never went back on it, even when I nearly forced him to. Let me tell you, when he said he wanted to find an angel, I about threw him into a pile of those big-mouthed sons of bitches that were always on our heels. The damn fool knew better than that. I knew he did. I told him that the only other thing singing a siren song louder than his freckled ass was that holy bastard in the land of abomination. He didn't care, though. The night I about beat him senseless when his little quest almost got us both skinned alive, he told me that I was the angel or nothing. He told me that either we three all get out together, or we three all rot there. I looked into those big, mean green eyes, and that's when I saw it. I was rubbing the sticks together, keeping that little fire of hope alive. It wasn't the brother he talked about so often, no. Somewhere deep down I think Dean knew that little Sammy was lost to him. Whether he stopped looking or died trying, Dean wasn't getting his brother back. Not entirely. It wasn't revenge or even survival moving that dumb fool forward either, making him so desperate that he would saddle up with a vamp. Like I said before, Dean Winchester was a whole different beast. He was one I could never truly put in a jar with a nice label. He would never fit, and it would never be right. Truth be told, the boy couldn't be contained at all. I've seen my fair share of beasts, and the purest making a sin. Dean could be worse than all of them at times. I saw the man pluck the tendons in a werewolf's neck with his fingers. He played him like a fiddle until the bloody thing howled in pain and pleading sobs. Dean just laughed. Oh, he laughed the coldest laugh that made my icy blood shiver with something worse. Yet that hope was still there. How could a man so ruthless, a boy so lost, still have that hope inside him? I spent months trying to figure it out. I about quit wondering. Then, that glimmer never shined so bright until I told him we should give up on his winged little friend. I held his face into the dirt, and I busted his arm behind his back, and I told him we had to stop this foolish wandering for a thing that would only put targets the size of Louisiana across our foreheads. I bared my teeth, and I put the fury of hell in my voice. But that fierce little boy just turned his head, his neck veins popping in ways that would have made up top me crazy with hunger. He looked at me, teeth all bloody from where my knuckles had split his lip, and he grinned. He said, "We're done if you don't help me find my angel. You hear me? We're done." And like I said, that's when it all clicked. I knew that as a human, you're only ever running from something or towards something. And this boy was doing both all at once. The worst part was, he didn't even know it. He was a damn fool, acting like he was doing this out of some loyalty to some adopted kin, or some promise he aimed to keep. He must have told himself those excuses so many times he honestly believed them. But as a man who lost his head over my own set of pretty eyes and dark, flowy hair, I knew the true reasoning for us blistering our feet all that way. Dean's eyes proved it. As we made our go along the river, I could feel the air start to thicken. It almost felt good, like I was back in the swamps of home. But this wasn't the muggy heat of the bayou. The air down there didn't get cleansed when in the presence of something as pure as an angel. No, it got thick and ragged, making all us beasts gasp for breath and grow manic trying to survive against it. I never told the boy, but it was all I could do not to rip the head off that godly thing. The angel made my skin itch and my bones ache something fierce. I kept it together, though, for the boy and for myself. When we broke through to the clearing, there he was. Not sure what I was expecting when I saw my first angel, but it sure was no scruffed-up dirty sap in a trench coat. But if you could have seen Dean's face, though, that was the real grace I would have expected to see. There's nothing more pure than the look that boy had when those blue eyes met his. I had seen Dean smile many times while down there, and there was always something sinister or sad behind his teeth, clacking against his tongue. But now when he saw his angel, that beast inside him calmed and slept and morphed back into a man, all the way down to a boy at Christmas. All the innocence of everything that ever is and ever was crawled into the look that those two gave each other. If I still had a soul worth anything, it would have warmed in that moment. I was still in survival mode, though, so I stayed cold, and I gritted my teeth as Dean sauntered towards that dirty thing, running his fingers along that scruffy face, collecting it up into the biggest hug a human could manage. I spit out little mumblings as the two of them promised each other they'd make it out. I heaved dry threats at that angel as he held us back and as Dean pushed us forward. To my surprise, the angel even agreed with me. He knew he was shining like a lighthouse. But that angel also knew Dean better than I did, and while I kept bitching and moaning about our sorry way, he stopped fighting the man quick, knowing that it was useless. Dean wasn't going to give up on him. He would die before he gave up on his angel. I didn't know exactly what happened. I could only feel some things. Only if those things were strong enough for Dean to feel throughout all his bones. Once he said his little bit of voodoo and sucked me up into his sinful soul, up into his wrist. I was lost to the specifics of the world. I went in, assuming I'd either see my body once more, or be stuck inside that boy's arm forever. Either way, it was better than the alternative. I can't even really describe how it was in there. The closest thing I can relate it to is that fallen feeling right before you wake up from a deep sleep. I was aware, but not really. I was aware that I was moving. I could feel the force of the portal pulling me and Dean in. I could feel something inside Dean start to shake. It was like he was breaking. I felt something grip around his arm, and then, in a moment, it was gone. I knew, right then. I felt it right then, the moment hope left Dean's eyes. I don't think he was aware, no. I don't think he knew at all that I was able to hear him once we broke through to the other side. It still wasn't clear, but everything human in him intensified once he set his feet back on clean soil. It got so strong, so heated, that my little sinister soul boiled in his veins. I could hear him cuss me out, going on and on about how I was hurting his arm. I wondered if being up top could really make him soft so soon. I heard him talk to those other people, asking them where the road was. I heard his breath tumble from his chest as he made his way to where my bones were buried. I heard his stomach grumble and growl, like all the beasts he had killed. The first time in a year the boy thought of food, I'm sure. I felt all those things like little pinpricks on my skin. But the strongest of them all, the ones that felt like daggers going right through whatever it is I was in that moment, were the tears that dripped through his fingers as he covered his face. Many men cry, and even beasts show the waterworks in times of fear and pain, but these tears weren't the kind that come from the body. They came from Dean's soul. The spindles of salt and wet twisted down his wrists, glossing the skin that barely kept me in. It burned when it passed me. Not sure if that was due to its humanity, or the fact that those tears were all too familiar. I shed those tears when I watched my love's throat get ripped from her neck. I shed those tears when I knew I failed her, when I knew I broke all the promises I had ever made. Somewhere deep inside me, I always knew I'd fail her, though. My eyes never glimmered with hope like Dean's did. I was a beast, and I knew that it would always haunt me, haunt everyone I ever was stupid enough to love. But Dean truly believed that he could keep his promises. He knew, deep in that twisted gut of his, the angel, myself, and his own beaten hide would make it out, never thinking for a second anything different. And as those fiery tears scalded my being, and as I felt his body crumble to the ground, stopping for the first time in the last year, I only heard him say one word, and I knew that he failed. I knew that he broke his promise. Whether he meant to or not, he broke it. I didn't know exactly what happened. I didn't realize that the angel slipped from his fingers. I only knew that something inside Dean was dying, right then and right there. If I still had a heart, it was breaking. It was breaking for the boy. We wandered together for a year, and we hunted and we killed. We ran and we bled and we laughed on the brink of insanity. But something kept him together. That angel kept him together. The way I heard him whisper his angel's name, how sweetly he let the sound roll off his tongue and fall into the night air. The vacancy that followed. Well, I would have rather seen the boy die back in that festering pit than hear that silence. He would later tell me how he missed purgatory. He said it was pure, just living and dying. I knew how he meant it to sound. I knew he was trying to say that it was simple, and that hunting was all he knew, and that's all there was down there. That is what he was trying to say. But his eyes weren't the eyes I once knew. and his voice was darker and hollow somehow. And if I weren't a man raised in the Southern way, I would have wrapped that boy in a hug and told him to be truthful with himself. I would have told him to stop all this silly lying and game playing, that all it was doing was killing him. But I didn't say a word. I stood there quiet, playing along like a fool beast I am, even though I knew what Dean was really missing, and it wasn't no purgatory filled with sinners like me. Like I said before, as a human, you only ever running from something or towards something. Dean lost his something when it slipped out of his hand. That boy lost his something, and now he ain't even human no more. That something broke away and dragged all the hope from that boy's eyes. He don't glow no more. I don't know what he is, but he ain't Dean. End. Thank you for listening. I hope that wasn't too excruciating for you guys. If you like the story, please leave kudos and comments.